All right, let's welcome back to Straight Fire. When the Kansas City Chiefs make news on the field or off of it, as they did this week, actually, they did a lot of that off the field. We bring in our guy. He's so plugged in, Darren Smith, KLKC Radio. If you're watching on YouTube, look at this dapper guy. He's got the three-piece suit on. He's got the tie. The only thing is, Darren, it's not a red suit. I thought you'd be celebrating the Taylor Travis engagement.
Well, look, first of all, thank you for having me, Jason. And look, I don't really delve into their personal life. I try to, separate that from being, from the work that I do. So that's why a lot of the players, well, that's why all the players respect me because I don't talk about their personal life
Smart.
when it relates to, what they do on the field. But very happy for Travis, very happy for Taylor, of course, and of course for Chiefs Kingdom. This is going to be, I guess, our royal wedding, so to speak. So. Uh, so I mean, look, I guess the one good thing about that is that there shouldn't really be any distraction, so to speak, as people like to say that took place last year, this upcoming season, because we already know what the end result is going to be.
Oh, really? No planning the wedding of the century, a royal wedding is not a distraction?
Well, he's not going to be the one to play. He's going to be paying for it, but I don't think he has to plan anything.
Well, wait a minute. Yeah, listen, are you married, Derek?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right.
Yep, been the
So,
key word.
just as a heads up, when you're getting married, obviously the wife is going to handle most of the stuff because she's going to, want it. It's her day. We get that. But she's going to come and hit you up with, what do you think of this? Probably 6 months straight, every other day at the minimum. So this idea that this is not a distraction, I'm not saying it's bad. This is life. But I think the real question is, are you going to cop an invite? Do you think the KC media will be there? I don't. Where's it? Is this going to be a destination wedding? Are they going to pull a Bezos and take over Venice for a week? I don't know, but I have a feeling you'll be there. You're plugged in.
Well, here's the thing. Funny story, true story, as a matter of fact. Last year, I can't remember. This might have been after one of the games. I was interviewing Kelsey because I don't try to interview when everybody else does. I always try to get my interview scheduled
Yeah.
weeks in advance. So when we do talk, it's one on one. And I just happened to ask him after we finished. I said, "Look, man, I don't talk about your personal life. You know." They said, "D, I respect that." I said, "But if by chance something happens between you and Taylor, and you decide to get on the knee or something, you break down, and a brother get an invite to the wedding." Now, he told me verbatim, "D, you've always been a real one. I got you." So I
Ooh.
can only take the man at his word. So if he invites me, cool. If he forgets, of course, I will
If
remind. Hold on, I will remind him because all this happened before, before
Mhm.
after the last preseason game. So we didn't get a chance to talk about this particular thing, but we'll of course talk about it next week when the locker room's open. And so I'll kind of bring that up to him and see whether or not he remembers it. Remembers that
Can you
conversation.
imagine what your friends will say if you're like, "Hey guys, this weekend I'm out of the mix. I'm going to the Taylor Swift wedding."
Well,
Uh,
first of all, if that actually does take place, I'm pretty sure I'll have to be sworn to secrecy. So
oh yeah,
until it actually happens, so I wouldn't bring it up.
yeah. I don't know what you get them as a wedding gift. By the way, what do you think they go with, a band or a DJ? Just curious.
I think they would go with a band because it's her. I couldn't see her doing a DJ. Probably a band.
Interesting. You might be right on that. I was thinking you got to go DJ at the wedding. I mean, you need
No,
to
I
be
no no no.
changing it up.
No. I think at the reception you probably might, but I mean,
Oh,
look,
that's what I meant. That's what I meant at the reception. Obviously, the
yeah.
wedding you go band, but
Uh,
reception you got
that's
to go DJ.
that's a that's a tough one, man. I don't know.
Hmm.
I mean, because look, you're talking about somebody who is bigger than life. She's on that level with Beyonce. So I don't know what you would do in
Yeah,
that
that's a good
regard.
question for Kelsey during the media session next time with him. Forget about erasing career lows in touchdowns and yards. Hey, are you going to get a band or a DJ for the reception? In serious news, though, the Kansas City Chiefs, Rashee Rice will be suspended for the first
Yeah.
6 games of the season. That popped as we record this on Wednesday. This popped on Wednesday morning. Um, that seems like a big hit. Hollywood Brown, the idea of him remains greater than the actual player on the field. Obviously, they still have Worthy. I think this is a big ding early. And listen, you've seen that schedule. It is difficult early.
Here's the thing. They always knew there would be a portion of the season they were going to be without Rashid. I think they would rather have it now versus in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Originally, he was scheduled to meet with the NFL and I guess Sue Robinson around September 30th. So of course that would have taken place after week 4. and who knows what would have happened there. I think the biggest fear that was taking place and why it was a rush to hurry up and get to settle, because while the league was looking for 10 games and Rashee was looking for possibly six, whatever, Sue Robinson would have had the option to, make it as long as she wanted to. So you could have been in a situation where he plays the first 4 or 5 games and could easily have been suspended the rest of the season, and there's no chance of appeal about that. Because if you remember, I think Deshaun Watson originally got like 6 games
Yeah.
and then it got extended to 11. So that was an option that she had that the independent judge had that they could increase it or decrease it, and you couldn't appeal that. So instead of trying to play the odds on that, I think it was better that they were able to settle and come to an agreement of the 6 games.
Yeah. There was a lot of hype about the offense, and it could still come to fruition later in the season with Rice and everybody healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, Darren, I'm not being negative here. I'm just being real. I'm not being, this is just honest. This is just the facts. The Kansas City Chiefs, I look around the roster and I'm like, where did they improve this offseason? Because I know the Raiders improved. They got a new coach, they got a new quarterback, they got a star running back. We know the Broncos have the best defense in the league, and the Chargers had a pretty solid draft. I'm looking at the Chiefs. Pinpoint to me an area where they improved. And if you say backup tackle stealing more from the Niners, that's fine. But we all know that ain't real improvement,
Um, I do believe that they improved on the offensive line, at least in the area of left tackle. I think Josh Simmons is going to be a vast improvement uh, over the last two left tackles that the Chiefs have had, including Kingsley, who moves over to guard, along with Wanye Morris, who's a backup. Obviously, you get Jawan Taylor, who's still there.
Mm-hmm.
You bring back Creed Humphrey and along with Trey Smith on their extensions. Here's the thing: it's not really a matter of them, quote unquote, improving overall, because I do think that they've gotten better overall as a team. To your point, now look, I've seen a lot of your takes. I don't think there's been any year that you've had the Chiefs either making the playoffs or winning. So let's put that out there now. Let's put, because your takes are stretched even for me from time to time. But I respect it because at least you stand on it. Um, but here's the thing: the Raiders are always going to be the Raiders. The Raiders will shoot themselves in the foot when it comes to penalties, late game situations. No matter who is the head coach, and we've seen that. The Chargers, from time to time, Jim Harbaugh gets in his own way, and I just don't have enough trust when it comes to Boy Wonder, as in Justin Herbert. At the end of the day, he will make a mistake. He will try to press and do too much when it matters most. The Broncos are good. Defense is solid. They probably should have. They probably should have beaten the Chiefs in the first game, in the game at Arrowhead, but
That's right.
fate had otherwise with that field goal. So, if anybody improves the most, that has the best chance of perhaps keeping the Chiefs and winning the division again, I will give it to the Broncos. However, I just don't think offensively they'll be able to put enough points on the board. I think the Chiefs, at the end of the day, defensively, you still got Spags and you still have a lot of those core players on defense that at the biggest moments with the brightest lights, they still know how to show up and play.
So clearly, one of us thinks that the Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs. The other thinks the Chiefs are probably going to win the Super Bowl. I
think they'll get there. I'll say
Okay.
they'll get there.
Who's the biggest competition for the Chiefs in the AFC?
Tough one. If I had to go with it, I'd say Baltimore, man. It's something about the AFC North, man, and Baltimore, I think, is a more complete team both offensively and defensively. I think when you look at a team like Cincinnati is going to be great. They're going to be putting points on the board, but with their defense, I know they just got Henderson to a deal this week. That defense still gives up too many points and gives up too much yards on the ground. And so,
Yeah.
if I had to say the most complete team, I would give it to Baltimore. Obviously, people are going to put Buffalo up in that
Mm.
mix. I mean, they're in a weak they're in a weak division with the AFC East, so they'll be at it at the end, along with Baltimore. Now the Chiefs do play both teams again this year, both Baltimore and Buffalo. And look, Buffalo normally finds a way to knock Kansas City off in the regular season, that's fine. They can have the regular season title when it matters most. Kansas City has been able to beat both teams when it counts most in the postseason. So if it still works out that way, but obviously the Chiefs can't probably well they probably would face both depending on how the records end. But if I had to choose a team that could knock Kansas City off, it would be Baltimore this year.
Interesting. So Baltimore's favored in 15 of 17 games. They are underdogs at Buffalo in the opener, just 1.5, and then a
Yeah.
dog at KC. Meanwhile, Buffalo is favored in every game this season. Now, Buffalo's schedule is cake, Darren. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
Basically the quarterbacks they have to face away from home are like Spencer Rattler, Drake May. Sorry, not Spencer Rattler. I'm sorry, Michael Penix, Bryce Young, Tua, Justin Fields. The best guy, I guess, is C.J. Stroud, and I don't know about you. I don't think as highly as C.J. Stroud as everybody else does. The guy had one good season. Let's be real.
Well,
So
he's only played 2 seasons to be fair. So
I know, but we put him on this pedestal after 1 year. I mean, freaking Jalen Hurts is out here going to 2 Super Bowls, winning MVP of the Super Bowl, and nobody he can't
Jason,
get. He ain't a top 10 quarterback.
Jason, technically, that's what everybody's doing with the Jaden in DC as well right now. So
Well, that's
I mean,
fair. He had one season.
no, I get it, but right now, if you look at it, people are saying Jaden Daniels is probably top 5. After the first 4, they're putting him in that number 5 position right now.
I don't know about where do you stand on that? Aren't you? I need more than 17 games worth of data. I mean, shit. Brock Purdy's got like 3 good seasons. Where's he?
Well, I don't think he's top 5.
Okay,
Look,
fine. I don't think he's
no,
top
no,
5
no, no.
either. But
Okay, but you're asking me. So if you're asking me, for me, even though he's a little hurt, I would give it to Matthew Stafford out of LA. One, he's one, and of course, we look at a couple other quarterbacks. I think now I do think Jalen Hurts is top 7. I give him 7 just because there is more to be desired offensively when he has the ball. But he is a winner and he's a leader, and that goes a long way. And he is someone that has beat Patrick Mahomes at the highest level when it counts most, and I take that into account as well.
where are you on the NFC? You seem to think Chiefs will go to the Super Bowl. I'm not. I think NFC's kind of weak. I don't know. Is it Niners? You got Eagles? What do you got?
Look, people think this can't happen, but I think it could essentially. I think we're going to see the rematch in week number 2. I think the Eagles and the Chiefs go right back again.
What like it's weird. Last summer, Darren, all we heard was, can the Chiefs three-peat? Can they three? I
Yeah.
haven't heard one person say, are the Eagles going to repeat? It's like
Well,
nobody's even talking about them.
you know what? But here's the thing: they're not even talking about it. One of the things that concern me, and I know you and I talked, I think either after the AFC Championship game or close to the Super Bowl, you had me on your
Yeah.
podcast. You know, I always told people that, you know, to me, to start seeing, I always think Kansas City can get to the Super Bowl. When they get there, it's a 50-50 shot because I'm not going to disrespect or take away from the other team because they had to do a lot to get there as well. So my thing is, I never say the Chiefs are going to win it. I always say they'll get there, and then, the chips fall, let the chips fall where they may.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, when those two teams met, I saw something, I guess, when it came open night or whatever, the seriousness in which the Eagles took this Super Bowl because you got to remember in that game 2 years ago in what was it in in Arizona, they had the ball on their last drive and they lost the game. They lost 38-31 or 38-35.
Yeah, great
And,
game.
and that's something that they had to live with for most of the players for the last 2 years. They got back to the Chiefs were looking to make history. The Eagles were looking for revenge. And that revenge for them tasted a lot much better, tasted more better than it was for the Chiefs to try to make history. And I also thought the Chiefs were a little bit distracted. And again, I know President Trump was there, and some of the players wanted to go out their way to shake hands and try to get pictures with Trump. While the Eagles, they didn't care; they were just ready for kickoff. And literally after the opening drive, when the Chiefs couldn't convert on that opening drive, when Kelce dropped that third down pass, I knew at that time Chiefs wasn't winning that Super Bowl. And that's hard for me to say for someone. It was just 0-0, but just how they started off the game, they neglected to run the football and they were trying to make it all about, making Patrick a 3-time Super Bowl, MVP and all this other stuff. Well, and make history and stuff and three-peating versus just trying to do what got you there, which is running the football and some of the other things that they did.
Hmm.
And I think they got off track leading up to the game and the game itself.
Wait, Darren, just for clarity here, you sound like you're saying it was less about the Eagles and more about the
No,
Chiefs.
no,
Is
no,
that
no,
accurate or no?
no, 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 no.
Okay.
It's a mixture of both, but no, the Eagles kicked the Chiefs' ass.
Okay.
No, let's. I was there. I hated to see that they kicked their ass. I'm just saying that the Chiefs and look, and Andy Reid admitted later on at the combine that they got away from running the football. They got away from what they normally do. Because remember, they were outside the last game, which most of the stars didn't play. They were 15-1. I mean, the only game that they had lost during the regular season, besides the last game, was against Buffalo. So, so to get to the Super Bowl and you essentially with your starters only lose that one game against Buffalo, and you give up the last game because you didn't have a reason to play. I mean that you had to be a great team and offensively, defensively, saying to get there. And so I just think the Eagles did a lot much better preparation when it
Mm.
came to winning that game than the Chiefs did.
Yeah, no, okay. That on that I would agree on. And I will say the two times the Chiefs have gotten to the Super Bowl, essentially their offensive line just got overwhelmed. So they
Yeah.
lose Tooney, who was their best offensive. Well, I'm sorry. He was excellent last year. He was their most flexible, played everywhere. And now it sounds like Taylor, who's a disaster on the line, is their right tackle. And you could admit it. He's a disaster. It's fine. He false starts all the time, blah,
Uh,
blah, blah. And then Josh Simmons, the rookie, who it was a super promising player, but's coming off a massive injury. We'll see. I don't know how you can feel optimistic with that going into the season. I mean, I did read all the, oh my
did
gosh,
you not see
Simmons is
Kingsley
amazing.
last year?
I saw Kingsley last year.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, if you and Wanya Morris, if you go back to the prime time, I'm sorry, to the Amazon Prime game, that Black Friday game, look late in the fourth quarter, Patrick Mahomes in the second half, Patrick Mahomes snapping not only on Wanya Morris but at the coaching staff talking about get him out of here because he was getting taken to the woodshed. Now, obviously, the Raiders and their D line are not to be scuffled with. However, the lack of protection and that left tackle position was facing most of last season. Look, I'm a big proponent of I don't even want Josh Simmons starting. I don't like a rookie starting in that position. I
Mm.
wish that they would have gotten Tunzel or somebody. Be personally, because to me, if you got a $500 million investment, are you really willing to risk it on a rookie? Versus somebody who has the experience, an All Pro, or someone like that has experience. But they believe enough in this kid versus the previous two. I would have hoped that they would have brought back Donovan Smith last year. They of course had the player that they had traded for with Arizona. His name just slips me at the moment. But and I thought that they should have went on and put him back in at left tackle for the Super Bowl and moved Tooney back at guard, but they didn't. But again, at the end of the day, I'm not taking nothing away from what happened in the game because the Eagles, I think, they were
Yeah.
just a better team that day.
Um, what would you say the odds are Travis Kelce retires after the season, regardless if they miss the playoffs, win the Super Bowl, lose in the second round, whatever? Do you think he's automatically retiring after the season?
If they win, he comes back. That's
Wait.
just
If
who.
they win, he returns to go for another one?
Yep. That's just how he's built. He's always look. If they would have won, he probably would have gone up to the sunset. But I also know Travis enough. Look, I've covered him since he's been there. I know him well enough that he would have tried to go for four in a row. So I mean, that's just it. And again, it just depends on how the season plays out, the wear and tear. How much he's utilized. Again, I've got to. Man, I think you and I have to have this conversation as we get to the playoffs versus to see how the season unfolds. To really come back and answer that question for you. But if they were to win, I would submit that he would come back.
Wow, that's a shocker. Now, what about Andy Reid? Does he say, "Hey guys,
He's
I'm
not going
60"?
anywhere. No, no, no.
Definitely not.
Andy, no. And look, man, Andy has signed a new 5-year deal last year. As long as he's got Mahomes healthy and a good chance win, Andy is trying to win. Andy's trying to go for a couple more records, but the one thing I love about Andy, and I see this every year, especially during training camp, as young as the team continue to get, it makes him younger. He loves being around, and I guess if the team was losing, that'd be one thing. But with the success that that they're getting, I can't see him stepping down and leaving him on the table and look. And I love his wife too. She's not about to let Andy Reid quit anytime soon.
Yeah. Wow. That's hard. I would hope my wife would say, "Can you quit so we could just hang out and do fun stuff all the time?"
Nah.
But you're okay. Interesting. Yeah, maybe I got that wrong. I'll have to run that by her. All right. Darren. No, I will not run that by her.
Right.
All right. Darren Smith, KLKC Radio. I'm glad we got to talk to you before the season. So the predictions are out there. If I'm
Yeah.
wrong, I'm wrong. I own it. I wear it.
So
If
hold on.
I'm right,
Hold on. But before we go now, tell me your AFC West, AFC stuff and where Kansas City Fire. I want you on the record for my own edification.
yeah, I'll go Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders.
Oh, third place. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I have Chiefs missing the playoffs. I know they hate me, but
why?
Listen, a multitude of reasons. I mean, but besides the offensive line issues, Kelce going downhill, coming off his worst season. I mean, he's going to lead the league in commercials.
They still went 15-2 last year, right?
Yeah, they won 11-0 in one-score games. There's zero chance they sniff that again. Maybe they go. I don't know. Then they're not going to play 11 of them. Let's say they drop to 4-6 in one-score games, which is normal. There's always regression there. All of a sudden, you're not 15 wins anymore. You're looking at like 8, 9, 10. The schedule is unforgiving. Buffalo, by the way, has the easiest schedule in the league.
No, I get that, but Jason, even if you look at the schedule, I would say maybe Philly, Baltimore, and like even if you want to give it to Buffalo, I guess but as a team overall skill players and stuff, the Chiefs still have the maybe outside of Philly, the Chiefs still have the best skill players that's going to be on that field. I mean,
really?
and yeah,
in the Philadelphia game.
No, I said with the exception of possibly Philly, I still think quarterback is still going to be Mahomes, but I'm saying, but wide receivers, I would give that to the Eagles. D line, I'd say a push. Offensive line, I would give it to the Eagles. I'm saying, but some of the skill positions, running backs, I would give to I give to the Eagles. But but coaching, I'm gonna still give to Andy. I'm saying Andy Reid and even Spags on the defense side of football. So I'm saying when it comes to the small minute things, especially when you talk about those close score games, those one score games, that comes down to coaching and players and stuff. I'm still going to give the edge to the Chiefs when it matters most because, again, the Chiefs will allow other teams to make those mistakes. And while fans get upset about the Chiefs winning and win one score games, don't be mad at the Chiefs. Get mad at the other teams for not being able to overcome their deficits or their mistakes that they make that the Chiefs force them to do.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you this. Who would you rather have skill position wise? Just skill position. Jaguars or Chiefs?
Oh, I'd still take the Chiefs.
I mean, Brian Thomas is better than Rashee Rice. And Travis Hunter, if we're to believe the hype, is amazing. I think ETN is better than Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, obviously, they're good at tight end, but I'm going to give you the nod on Kelce. I mean, Jags have a legit offense. And by the way, those tackles for the Chiefs are going to find out in week 2 against Philly and in week 3 against the Giants. That defensive front for the Giants is formidable. Now, the rest of the team stinks, but their front four is filthy.
You're making it seem like the Chiefs aren't going to be prepared for these matchups.
The Chiefs are going to show up. Yeah. I think they will get on the team plane. Yes,
yeah. So I'm saying, the other teams, they got to make sure that they do their X's and O's as well. Again, I'm not too concerned. Look, the Eagles game, of course, will be on you all's network. It'll be at Arrowhead. Of course, I'll be there. I'm gonna have my barbecue and stuff, and then of course the following.
And remember, that's after the Brazil opener. We don't know how teams are going to respond to a week. Like you've gone on international travel.
The same way the Eagles responded last year after that week 1 win.
They didn't look good early in the season. Remember they struggled early. The first 4 games, it was like whoa.
But they won though, didn't they?
Let me check if they won their week 2 game. Hold on.
I believe they did.
They lost to Atlanta 22-21.
Okay.
And then they squeaked by the Saints and they got smashed by Tampa. There was no AJ Brown in that one. So they were sitting at 2-2.
Okay. Well, to be fair, Atlanta, New Orleans is not Eagles, Giants that the Chiefs are going to be. So, I mean, that's, they lost with 22-21. I don't know how they lost that game still.
So that was the Kirk Cousins totally screwed up in the fourth quarter. They had 2 drives late to try to pull it off and could do neither. If memory serves, I could No, wait. Kirk Cousins did get it done. They
Yeah,
won.
yeah,
That's right. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Eagles lost that. My bad. So yeah, like again, I know it's Reed
It's
and
going
it's
to be tough.
Mahomes.
It's going to be tough. I think the week 2 game against look, and the Chiefs could lose that game. But I put it like this. They're not going to lose 34-6 or whatever the score was in the Super Bowl. That's not happening.
No.
I just think that it's 40-22. I just think that it's going to be it's going to be much closer, much tighter. And look, the Chiefs offense will not be what it is because obviously Rashee Rice is going to be out of the game. And I'm not just going to put it just on him. You know, I can tell you through our training camp, that's something that the Chiefs, obviously they always prepare for their first game, which
Mm.
is the Chargers. But trust and believe, they got some stuff in mind and in store today that they've probably prepared for throughout training camp for the Eagles game.
Hmm. Well, I hope maybe they'll overlook the Chargers and lose in Brazil.
I hope not, because
Yeah,
that'll mess up
it's
my
gonna be fun. This
parlays.
is gonna be a fun season. We'll definitely have you back. And listen, if the Chiefs are on the doorstep of missing the playoffs, your boy is gonna be thumping his chest doing a victory lap. All right, man.
Trust me, I already know that.
Yeah. But then again, the Chiefs will probably be in the Super Bowl again, and I'll be a moron. All right, Darren. Good stuff, man. And we'll talk to you
Appreciate you
soon.
always. Yep,
All right.
sounds good. Thank you.